Oh, way better. Okay, cool.
I can't hear anything.
What the fuck is that door?
I don't know. Okay.
You want to just get started?
Let's just do it.
Nothing.
Woo! It's Friday, April 21st, 2017, and you're listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Ray. Every Friday at noon, we, some pals who used to work together, will give you consistent, bite-sized commentary on the WWE's ever-expanding line of programming, as well as talk about, other cool stuff happening in wrestling.
Sometimes we just recap. Sometimes we conversate and debate in our roundtable discussions. Sometimes we interview wrestlers from right here in Seattle, Washington. Before we introduce our guests, we want to discuss our big announcement this week. If you follow us on Facebook, you probably saw that, unfortunately, in the next few weeks, we're going to be going on a hiatus.
Yes.
Very, very sorry, and lots of tears were shed from me specifically. But basically, the reality is we used to all work together, and then we all got laid off. Recording used to be a lot easier when we had a studio at our disposal, and now Ray's getting married, Kyle had a baby, I'm in charge of all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So it's just super hard to, I don't know how I sleep. It's super hard for us to all get together. So we've got a bunch of cool content coming up in the next few weeks. So definitely go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/ontheheelswp to find out more information about all the cool shit coming down the pipe. Yep. And definitely to listen to this and future podcasts.
For sure. But with that out of the way, this week we are super excited to have back with us the Rhinestone Wolverine, the king of thong style, the air guitar champion, Booty Mania 2 Electric Boogaloo, Eddie Van Glam.
Yay!
You like
Welcome
that?
back, Eddie.
You like that?
That's great. I was going to say Booty Mania 2, how Eddie got his booty back. But,
shit.
that works.
Damn it. That was so good.
Shaped of Battlemania. Oh, my God. So Eddie, otherwise known as Bill, is a former guest of the podcast. We're very, very happy to have him back.
Thanks for having me back.
And in this corner, we've got one really, really fucked up clown.
Yeah.
You've been, I think, an alcoholic, some sort of coke addict, and most recently you've been called the Daniel Day-Lewis of fake wrestling.
Yeah,
so
that's my new tagline for
podcast.
sure.
Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Ronald McFondle.
Yeah. Woo!
Otherwise known as Josh.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, real name's so boring.
Yeah. We also have the directors of today's topic, Bodyslam, The Revenge of the Banana, from Parts Unknown, Ryan Harvie and JP Horstmann. How you guys doing?
Yay!
Hi.
Hey, guys.
The title sounds so silly when you say it like that.
So first off, I want to thank Ray for the technical feat of getting 6 people together on Skype to pull this off, because I don't know how we're doing this right now. So we're just going to go for it.
Right.
So it should be noted, we're going to talk about the content of this excellent documentary, Bodyslam, Revenge of the Banana. So if you haven't seen it, first off, shame on you.
Yeah. Shame.
Secondly,
Wait, if you're going to listen to this podcast and you haven't seen the film, pause it.
Yes.
Go buy it on iTunes. Go buy it on Amazon Video. Go buy it on Google Play. Watch it, and then you can listen to this recording again.
Right.
Yes.
So one, it's a great film. Secondly, if you don't do yourself a favor and watch this great film, you will definitely spoil everything by listening to this podcast. So I'm literally telling you to press stop and go buy some shit. But trust me, it'll be the greatest purchase
totally
you've ever
worth
made.
it.
Spoiler warning. Anyway.
Yep. All right.
Sweet.
If you made it this far, you've now watched the film. First of all, how did Eddie and Bill and Josh? How did you guys meet?
We met when Bill started coming to practice.
I know this exact answer because Josh was drunk at the time.
As usual, and probably in a concert.
It was Pajama Jammy Jam, and it was my first time coming to an SSP show, and Josh got done wrestling as the Silver Dollar Brawler, and I was at the bar with him, and I looked over, I'm like, that's the Silver Dollar Brawler, and I looked at him, I'm like, dude, let me buy you a beer, and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm like, I bought him a beer, I'm like, I'd love to do this. He's like, yeah, sure, talk to Brett. I'm like, okay, and the following Tuesday, I showed up, and he's like, hey, who are you? And I'm like, you don't remember, do you? And he goes, nope. I'm like, it's all good. I understand.
Yeah.
You have to remember that after every show, there's about 40 drunk dudes that want to be wrestlers, and maybe one shows up to practice next week.
I think I was the only sober guy in the building at the time.
I think that's how we got into the movie, right?
So how did the rest of, like, you know, with Ryan and JP, how did you guys meet, you know, the SSP guys?
We had a friend that we went to college with who, oddly enough, was the second banana. And he started telling us about all this. And we're like, what are you talking about? There's a revengeful banana fighting a clown. And Ryan convinced me to go up there. He was like, dude, this is fucking crazy. You've got to go, man. This is crazy. I'm like, yeah. We
That's
got up there.
every conversation about Seattle wrestling starts.
Exactly. He's like,
Guys, gotta come up here and see this shit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, clowns.
There's this perky clown.
I was like, I'm there. And we just started filming, and that's how it started. And we originally, like we said, we were going to make a short piece, and just crazy things kept happening. The story took more turns, got more interesting, and eventually it folded out into a whole film.
Yeah, and then we found these guys so compelling. You know, these are just fascinating guys and characters who just happen to wrestle. I mean, they could be dentists, and they'd still be evenly as compelling. So you could be a dentist now, Josh.
Oh, God.
I'm down for the nitrous.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't think I want Josh in my mouth ever.
Again?
Yeah, we do have the tapes, remember, Bill.
Oh, shit. So speaking of which, so you guys come up, you start filming SSP, and obviously the documentary unfolds with Paul and the second banana and all of the hullabaloo that comes from that. But what was the initial goal of filming all of this stuff?
I mean,
we wanted to get
go ahead, Ryan.
No, we're just saying we just wanted to get something on camera. We thought it was an interesting, from what the second banana told us, we thought it'd be kind of unique and a different story. And then when we really got up there and saw the actual performance and saw what the crowd was like and saw what these guys were like backstage, that's what really opened our eyes.
Damn.
We basically started to discover really interesting stories. And when you watch this film, and I hope you do, you think it's about wrestling. You think it's going to be about these gimmicky guys, and crazy stuff, don't get me wrong, does happen. But what weirdly happened is the more that we got into these wrestlers and their characters, the more we realized, holy shit, this is like the story of everybody. This, these people they have interesting backgrounds. They formed a family together, and they've betrayed each other, and they're trusting the family. And, it just turned into a giant soap opera. And that's when we were like, we've got to keep filming this. We've got to.
It's almost like this is why people watch wrestling.
Exactly. But in real life.
Yeah. So when you're filming this and you're suddenly you see kind of the drama behind the scenes, and you're seeing all of this play out, when do you know, holy crap, we have an actual story arc that's happening right now? It has a beginning, middle, and end, and how did you guys kind of figure out oh shit, okay, yeah, this is where the film needs to end? It's just such an interesting organic thing that happens in this film.
I think before we went to Olympia, we were kind of wondering how that, because it was just well, that's a sad ending. The shows are gone. What's going on? And
there was a long time where the ending was sad and they didn't win. And then other things happened, which are we allowed to say, or I guess.
Buy our movie. Buy our movie. Stop listening and buy our movie. Damn it!
Events happened.
Yeah, the Olympia thing is kind of where we were wow, we might actually be able to turn this around, and it's not just going to have this depressing ending where we lose.
Yeah, originally it was just going to fade to black, and just, and be and
sad Hulk walking away music plays.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. But no,
that really sad song that plays during the Peanuts movies.
Yeah.
But it was just going to be, when we're in the moment with these guys and you see kind of their interactions with each other and how much they really do love each other, even though there is a lot of betrayal and backstabbing, that's we knew that there was parts of the story there that we could see ahead of time that were going to be really, really compelling to watch.
Yeah, we were just hoping that something cool would happen. Usually when you get an interesting subject, you have to just take a chance and see what happens. And you sort of follow the story as you follow what's interesting about it, and you usually do find a story. But that's documentary. You don't know what is going to happen, and the movie kind of finds itself. And that was really interesting to watch it sort of develop as just cutting scenes together and building it out. It's like it wrote itself at sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, so Morgan Spurlock came aboard. Morgan Spurlock of Super Size Me fame and a million other movies. Loved the movie at Tribeca and wanted to come on board and have it added to his stable. So we're thrilled to be able to have someone of his caliber to be able to show off this movie to the world. And we couldn't ask for a better person to help shepherd this film. As long as with our other producers, Glenn Zipper, Ross Dinnerstein, and our Savior Carrie.
He's this generation's Hulk Hogan of documentary films. If you ask me.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, that's
he's got the mustache too. He does.
That's actually an interesting thing, though, is like it takes a lot of money to make a film, especially one that has this many logistics, shooting for such a long time to even finish film. And like it was amazing because we didn't have the resources, and Glenn Zipper found us lying in a gutter and just was like introduced us to Carrie and got this whole thing going with Ross Dinnerstein. And they really championed this the whole way through. We're like, this is a dirty, like, gimmicky joke, and we're making a lot of funny. And they're like, this is great. Keep going, guys.
A dork.
They really gave us the support that we really needed. John Paul and I were working our normal jobs, and then we were cutting this movie at night and on the weekends.
Not sleeping.
Having having awesome. Glenn and Carrie and Ross come on board.
I freaking adore Carrie. Like she's amazing. Josh can attest to that too. We love Carrie. She is incredible.
Yeah, Glenn and Ross aren't bad either.
Oh yeah, we like them too. Don't get me wrong, but
we like everyone.
I just remember New York and Carrie, and the whirlwind of stuff that would happen. So
yeah, and Morgan Spurlock, being a part of his label has just been a thrill for us.
Sweet. All right. So, question for the wrestlers in the room. So, Bodyslam covers a lot of what's happening with Seattle Semi-Pro, SSP, and kind of the fall of SSP. And now that has sort of birthed 321, which is going through this, like, it's crazy popular. You guys have Battle Mania at the end of this week. It's going to be insane, right? So, what was SSP in comparison to 321 for the people that may not know intimately what the Seattle wrestling scene is about?
SSP was more, we kind of trained as we went. We were definitely not putting on, like in the very beginning, it was barely even matches. We just kind of went out there and beat each other up and rolled around and did comedy bits.
There were beer cans. There were lots of beer cans.
Yes. But we kind of slowly throughout the years, more people would join us that had some training here and some training there. And then we just kind of all evolved. And then by time 321 came around, a lot of us had trained enough where people had come in, and we kind of realized like we didn't want to keep doing the theater-y thing. Like we wanted to get a ring and go for it and make it a real thing instead of the and also there's no way. We changed these laws so that we can do our shows with the ring now and stuff, but there's no way that they would let us fly with doing shows at the Rebar without a ring again. The ring is a contingent, so it's part of if we wanted to keep doing what we had to do, we had to evolve and get a ring. But it's also a lot of us wanted to, because we had been learning over the years to be better performers and to be better workers. And we just figured it was the natural progression and also when we started doing this stuff in 2003 with SSP, there wasn't a lot of comedy wrestling out there like there is now with Kaiju and Chikara. We were one of the only, there was a Portland Organic Wrestling and there was Incredibly Strange Wrestling in Portland and San Francisco, but they did stuff on stages just like we did. So yeah, we did.
I think one of the things that you have to remember is that they were doing at the time something really unique, which was making fun of wrestling. That's what people have to realize that was so interesting about it.
And now 321 is kind of redefining wrestling.
Yeah.
Bill,
we're still spoofing it. We're still spoofing it in our way and everything, but now the work rate is up and we have a ring and it's a legitimate wrestling show now. It's not as much a spoof as it was, but we're still taking our unique take on it. Yep. And we still have that family vibe. We're a collective. There's not an owner. There's not anyone. We have our booking team and whatever, but it's a group. We're a family. We all work together to put on a show.
Awesome.
And it's not about the company or like the head of the company making a paycheck. It's about family and us. 3-2-1 is just like a progression from what we did back.
God damn it. I feel like I got Josh on this sentimental string, talking. I'm like, shut up! I want to hear the other guy.
In all fairness to Josh, he's been around since day one. I came into this, about half its life ago. I've gotten to, I was fortunate to be a part of the evolution. I got to be a part of something so wonderful, this brotherhood where we get to go on stage and beat up on our friends in front of our friends. It was like this weird therapy, the world could be going to hell. George Bush could be in office. Who cares who's in office, and for just like 3 hours, we can all get our aggression out together as one collective unit in this space. And now it's we still get to do that, but in a different sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Can I ask you, looking back at SSP versus what you guys are doing now at 3-2-1, do you look back and say holy shit, why the fuck did we do it that way? Or holy shit, you can't recreate that magic?
It was SSP was lightning in a bottle for sure.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do that. I do stuff that I would do in SSP still to this day.
I still see your ass as much today.
For sure.
The content is the same.
I wrestled McFondle so much, I think that's why I have magical butt powers now, because I got the shocker so many times. It's just I have solid steel buns. But fun fact, I actually, from my first time coming to SSP, I witnessed a performer use a maneuver called the air guitar. And he has long since retired from SSP. But I have got his blessing, and I use it to this day as a finishing move.
We still do the stuff that we did in SSP days, but it's just a different thing now. It's bigger and it's more legitimate. It's in a ring,
there's a higher production value.
Yes.
We have lights, we have sound, we have practice more than just an hour every Tuesday in the basement of Washington Hall.
You've got a whole writing team. You've got
we got production teams. We have grown so much in such a short time period. Well, I say short time period, but that's
over a decade.
It's been well over a decade. We have grown. We have grown since the birth of SSP.
Short is just context, So the banana comes along, and I know in the film that Josh sort of makes it clear that SSP's policy is you never turn anyone away. But how did Paul sort of show up? Did he just walk in one day and be like, "Hey, I want to wrestle," and then it just kind of happened, or
he came to a show and?
Well, no. Sorry, Josh. He actually talks about that in the film, where he's riding along on his bike, and he sees a flyer on the ground.
Oh, that's right.
And that's how he decides to join, because he's always been involved he's always loved wrestling since he was a child, and it gave him solace. And so seeing that, it's kind of kismet of how everything happened.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think as you watch in the film, he's so interesting as a character. And he was a lonely kid. He didn't really have any friends. His family, he didn't have a good relationship with his family. The only thing he had was wrestling. And so when he found himself alone years later, he saw all these guys having fun at their show. He was like, I love wrestling, and maybe I can join these guys and be part of their family.
Yeah.
So, side note, this is one of the things that I found really interesting about sort of the way that the footage was put together and the way that the story was told, is that initially, and I tried to approach this without any bias because, I'm good friends with Bill and I've known Josh for a long time, and a bunch of the guys in the film who all look like babies, by the way. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Like, fitness
Cole
hasn't gone
Crazy.
to a gym yet. What the fuck, guys?
Cole Crazy is a child.
Oh, everyone is such children. Anyway, but the film is kind of laid out in a way that it seems like Paul is almost the good guy initially.
Right.
With SSP being the bad guys, and then it kind of turns a little bit in the middle.
But they are the bad guys. That's the whole point.
Dude, we're sitting right here.
I think it's really interesting that that it could go either way, right? And that's sort of like the beauty of wrestling, where you have both heels and faces, and one character can play both. It's just a matter of like what your context and what your perspective is.
Right, I believe you call that heel turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually a double turn even.
It was a double turn. I like it.
Yeah.
You think that the directors of this film like watched wrestling or something?
Yeah. No shit.
Oh my god. It's so good.
That's what makes the film interesting. I mean, the note we kept getting when we first started was like, you need to make it like the guys are a family, and he comes in and he messes up their family. And it's like, no. The whole thing is that you need to be on Paul's side so that you feel betrayed when he betrays them.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it an interesting film.
I felt
That's
betrayed.
crazy.
And you're going to feel sympathetic towards Paul because you're going to know his backstory, and then you find out that they didn't know his backstory.
So that's the worst part, is that I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I wanted to feel sympathy for Paul, but I'm like, no, I know he's an asshole. No.
Fun fact about people who watch the movie.
That you can buy on iTunes. Phil.
Which you can buy on Amazon and Google. But the fun fact for me and Josh is that we got to see this film when it debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2015. Yes. So the first time we ever learned anything about Paul is when we watched this movie.
Oh, that's right. I heard that.
We actually had no idea anything about his backstory. He never talked to us. We try to open up, and he'd just be like, yeah, and then he'd do this really awkward like laugh, and that was it. And like, no matter what we did, like I always felt like he was judging us for some reason. And once I saw the film, it made a lot more sense.
Yeah,
he definitely talked more in the first half of the movie than I heard him talk in person in the 3 years or whatever I spent with him. 2 years, I don't remember how long it was.
I feel
it took us 3 years to get him to open up to us like that. Actually,
wow.
Yeah, and he was really brave to do so.
He was really brave to do so. He was just we were just doing some B-roll of the house, walking around, and you can see it in the film. We were just in his basement, like, okay, cool. And he just got halfway up the stairs, and he just kind of turned to us and said, you know, my mom died on the front porch. And we're like, what? Whoa. And then he started telling us all about his childhood. And we're just like, turn the camera around, and just started filming. It's in the movie. And then he was just really trusting, and he kind of took us around the house and told us the whole story. That's why if you watch the movie, he's in a different room every time, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So, it really created this, like, interesting dynamic, kind of, as you say, like, you showed this one side, and then you showed this group, but then you guys get more in depth on the relationships within the group. And I think for me, one of my favorite parts of this film, it's weird. One of my favorite parts is watching Josh and Bill slap each other. And but my ultimate,
you say each other. No, that was one side. Josh,
it's mainly one side.
Yeah, true.
I'm usually slapping Bill or making out with Taylor. So.
Yeah. But like the part that almost made me tear up is when, like, SSP gets shut down. It's like this horrible scene of just emotion, and then like this really touching moment of Josh slapping Bill, and like it's like it's like this one, like, he's gonna do it, just like, please just slap him to make him feel better, and it's just like, it's just a weird thing, like, and I was just like, oh, I felt so much better when that happened.
We were both so emotionally just wrecked at that moment. Like, I was weirdly grateful that he slapped me in that moment, because it just kind of broke the tension. Like, it just kind of like snapped me out of it, even though I wanted to like cry, but it's like I spent plenty of time crying getting to the bar.
So speaking of which, I kind of want to hear like what everyone's favorite part of the movie was, or maybe it was a part of the actual filming process, because this whole thing is probably very cathartic, especially watching like after the fact. So like, Ryan, is there any part that like really speaks to you?
Oh, I mean, just for me, seeing these guys is finding out their backstories and seeing what they overcome to be able to get to the ending of the movie, which I'll leave vague, so people can buy it on iTunes.
You should buy it on iTunes or Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but you can buy this movie on iTunes. But seeing what they really kind of overcame and fighting for what they really believed in is really inspiring to me. And also having the movie done and out that people can view it is really, that's the thing that, it's really been in John Paul and I's minds for years to get this thing done. And then now that finally people can see it and see these guys' story, I mean, that's the most fulfilling thing for me. JP, what about you?
What was the question? I wasn't paying attention. No, I mean, it was really satisfying to see that we took all these crazy chances and then really funny stuff happened just naturally because you had good characters. And, I mean, what's your favorite part of the film, Ryan? What is your favorite scene? What do you like the best?
Oh, I mean,
I like the routines. They're really hilarious.
When Josh shows his the bush tattoo, that was really that was really surprising that I didn't even know that existed.
My bushy tail.
I mean, I love when they go to the Senate. I mean, everybody loves that scene when they go to the Senate and they talk. They talk up the senators and tell them they'd be great wrestlers and shit.
Yeah, I liked sitting with my mom in the movie theater in New York when she got to watch Ronald McFondle on stage in the movie screen in front of 100 strangers.
My God.
Her blushing and hiding her face was hilarious.
My dad has since made Facebook friends with Josh after meeting him that day, and he's Josh knows a lot of strippers.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
For me, mine's a little bit more sentimental. There's a time where in the video I'm being filmed, and it's I think it was the night we got shut down, and my father flew in from Atlanta, and he got to watch me wrestle for the first and last time in SSP.
Oh my God!
And he's actually, if you look closely, you'll see this elderly gentleman sitting in the front row of the rebar as I'm jumping around, getting all excited, stripping out of my tuxedo, and that man is my father.
It's a very serious moment.
And for me, it was one of those moments where I was so thrilled because he finally was getting to see his boy live his dream. And at the same time, it broke my heart because this might be the last time I ever get to do this again. But how great is it that my father got to see it at least once?
Kind of on that same note, my favorite moment in the movie is where they're actually getting shut down. And Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. But where you're tearing up and they're hiding your face from the camera.
I didn't know they were filming at that point.
Of course, that's what makes the best film, right? But I think that moment's really, really critical in the whole thing because it sort of, this movie shows a lot about the silly sides of wrestling. It shows the betrayal, it shows the family, but showing what an individual impact that something like this can make. I think that was really the key turning point where, whoa, people's lives are affected because this guy ratted them out.
Right.
And it was this really, really touching moment. I know I've talked to you recently, Bill, about the whole art and kind of what it means to individual performers and everything. So I know as someone who does performance art herself, I really appreciated that.
Yep.
Oh, that was really something that attracted us to them initially was this idea that even though it's silly and they're wearing costumes, that it really means a lot to them. In the film, we have we just show hey, Bill cuts hair for a living and he's a barber. We actually interview him while he's cutting hair, and then cut to he's a hero on stage and has hundreds of people clapping for him.
It's a tassel on his dick or something.
It's a tassel. On his dick.
I think that was just flim.
Essentially,
it's actually called a tasticle.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That is the true name for it. Is a tasticle.
But essentially, there's no difference between what he's doing and somebody that loves to sing or, whatever, fine painting. It's still he gets his meaning from what he's doing, and without the ability to do it, but they're just lost.
Right, and how at that last scene as well, that where Josh can't even, get out the words, and he's just crying, and being on stage means so much to him. That's another area that makes me very emotional in that movie, is just seeing exactly what it means. You can see it means the world to him, and and now that it's being taken away, it just devastates him.
Yep.
And then he yells anal fisting.
That's the trick. When I start crying, I just go right into McFondle, and I'm like, and I don't let myself get too far into it.
Anal fisting!
So
My aunt watched the movie this week and said, except for that part, she loved it.
Except for that.
A friend of mine, Josh, loved the movie, and then he was like, I kept saying anal fisting in my head all day the next day. Your wife had a lovely night.
Job
All right,
well
I
done.
gotta cut out. I gotta get to work.
Okay.
So
All right.
All right.
I gotta say my goodbyes. But thanks for having us on, and I'll talk to you
Thanks,
guys later.
Josh.
See you, Josh.
It was great. Thank you so much for being here. Yay!
Awesome. So, now going back, like after the film's over, you guys stop filming. You have your arc. Do you guys have any other like run-ins with the banana following the film? Did the banana try to call DOL again later? Like what happens after as far as the banana's interaction with SSP and everything else?
So he ended up leaving after Battlemania. He was finishing up a storyline with Josh and the second banana, or it was the Weapons of Mass Destruction and second banana. The bunch of bananas were facing the Weapons of Mass Destruction. The bunch of bananas defeated the Weapons of Mass Destruction, and then Paul just left. He didn't say goodbye to anybody, which we thought was weird. Usually he would say hey, I'm out of here. I'll see you later. Or he'll stick around to the end of the show. He just we all looked around. We're like, wait, where's Paul? And honestly, after that, we found out that someone had talked to the DOL, that things were not looking good. And then all of a sudden on websites, in the comments section, he was leaving these I want to say heel promos. They were like, I did it. It was me, Austin. It was me all along. And twirling his evil mustache. I don't know. And because I wasn't really close with Paul. I mean, I had my own things going on at the time, but he just kind of did that. Since the movie's come out, we since that moment, the last time I ever really, I didn't speak with him, but the last time I ever heard from him was he was posting comments in chat rooms and things like that. But we haven't spoken to him. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just to finish that off, we really we're really happy that Paul took part in this.
Yeah.
And when we finished, we were hoping that he would come to the premiere. It's really hard. He was very brave about, he's literally opened himself up to in a personal way. Mm-hmm. We were hoping he would come to the screening, but he never responded. And that's sort of has meaning in the last scene of the film where he just walks in a house. It's maybe we will hear from him one day. We hope he likes the movie, but he just never really ever responded. He was gone. Just disappeared.
Yeah. It's we've tried, I personally have tried to not necessarily pass notes, but I've asked how Paul's doing. I hope he's doing well. It's unfortunate what he did. Am I angry? Yes. But at the same time, it lit a fire under our ass to keep going, because it's if you love something, they say love it, let it go. And it's there's no way we're letting this go. We fought really hard. We fought the state. We've gone to the Senate and whatnot.
And you just went to the governor the other day.
We just went to the governor's house.
Yeah.
And we signed a bill. We are legal now.
Well, in 2018.
2018. Okay.
Right. Right. So
don't steal my thunder.
Sorry.
Don't steal our thunder.
I've been following it. Wore my Legalized Wrestling t-shirt yesterday. I was really, really excited. So speaking of which, so one of the things that happens in the movie is that, Josh and Jake and a bunch of luchadors all head down to Olympia, and they're trying to change these laws and whatnot. And this, the podcast timing couldn't have worked out better, but this last Monday, a bunch of people were down in Olympia. signing the bill. It had just been through the House, the Senate, and Jay Inslee was signing it, and it's great. So what does this mean now for wrestling in the state of Washington?
Maybe
not immediately, but in like 2018, like where are we going?
Well, now this opens up a whole new discussion as to what is theatrical wrestling.
Yes. I also love that that's the part of the bill that it refers to it as theatrical wrestling.
Well, I mean,
because pro wrestling is,
it's so weird how they define pro wrestling and how they define amateur wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like, well, so wait, you can be a pro amateur wrestler?
Yes.
Or you're a pro wrestler? Like, what's, it's really strange. This opens the discussion and opens the door for us to sit down with the DOL and change the laws within what is stated for professional wrestling or theatrical wrestling, excuse me. Because right now in the state of Washington, theatrical wrestling is defined in the same rules as boxing or MMA. Whereas theatrical wrestling, where in boxing and MMA, you are trying to hurt your opponent, where you are trying to maim them, essentially. Maybe not maim.
Right.
Maim's a strong word.
Whereas theatrical wrestling,
you're trying to beat the crap out of them so you maim them with your purse. Theatrical wrestling,
it's just Josh and Bill slapping each other.
For those of you who are not in on the know, so theatrical wrestling, it's a dance, much like ballet. Or
it's ballet with punching and microphones.
Exactly. Well, not even microphones, really. Well, I mean, microphones when you're talking on them.
Right.
But it's a dance, and it's telling a story within the confines of a bell and ring ropes. So
that's one of the ironies of the film is that like they're being persecuted for faking fighting as if they were MMA or something. It's literally you have George Bush getting fisted by a giant clown, and there's a police officer writing up a report about it.
Right, and you have to bring lawyers into it to fight.
And they're trying to tell us how it's done. Where we have been going on for so long. And we've been, we've been, what's the word? I can't think of the word, damn it.
Vilified is the term I think you're thinking of, right?
What's that?
Vilified?
No, it's
not vilified. Sorry, vindicated. Sorry.
No, that's not the word either. It's
I'll just keep naming words.
Within the parameters, it's like if something wasn't working for us, like we change it. Like it wasn't one of those things where we let it get out of control.
Yeah.
If seriously, like we were like, you can throw beer cans, and then fans were like not paying attention, and we were like, okay, listen, you can throw beer cans, but they can't be crushed. Okay.
They have to be empty.
And they have to be empty beer cans. Okay. And then they began to crush them, and we're like, don't crush them. And then we're like, okay, no full cans. No crush cans. And then one day, of course, someone is drunk off their ass. They throw a glass and we're like, all right, sweep that up. You out. We kicked that guy out and we're like, all right, guys, new rule. No full cans, no crush cans, no glass.
I like that that's the point you went. Instead of just saying no more throwing beer cans, it's let's have a bunch of stipulations.
We didn't want to hinder anybody's fun, but at the same time, we were looking at our own safety.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the point of wrestling. Right?
And so, they're trying to regulate us and be like, well, you can't do this. And it's like, but we've made our rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been doing fine without you.
Right.
Yep.
And we haven't been causing anybody harm. Like, who are we hurting right now?
And honestly,
other than we have, who are we hurting other than each other, which we all have consent to?
And that was what ended up getting reported in the national news, this ridiculous story of this small wrestling league being controlled by the bureaucracy of government trying to stop them, the whole Fox News thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were on Megyn Kelly's court.
I remember seeing a screenshot of like the actual coverage from that, like the Bodyslam release, and someone was showing footage from the movie on Fox News, and someone in the crowd has a sign that says Marie Grande gives me a weird boner.
Yes.
And I think Murray Grandi actually like has it as his profile picture on Facebook.
Okay. He had that as his profile pic for the longest
Oh my god, it
time.
was so good.
That was in New York. Yeah, that was on
Badge of
3 million people saw that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, 3 million people know that Murray Grandi gives some random stranger in a bar
A weird boner. So
Well, that's
All right.
I mean, the thing with the thing that really though did really compel us is that with all this stuff happening with like the Fox News and the government coming after these guys and then them being able to basically decide to fight and move forward and deal with this. It's like the craziest thing is that they would be so preoccupied with this organization that they would try to stop them.
Yeah. So let me ask you, like, let's talk about the darkest timeline where this bill gets trashed and thrown away and will never see the light of day. In this world, does 3-2-1 no longer exist? Like, does the Lucha Volcanica no longer exist? Like
that was what was going to happen, is that they weren't allowed to wrestle. They could get in trouble with the police.
Yeah, it was fucking dumb, man.
Yeah. So I just kind of think like a lot of people are kind of going. I hear a lot of conversations about the bill, and sometimes I kind of want to simplify it is if we didn't do this bill, this like wrestling would not exist outside of WWE coming down every once in a while.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Because right now, as the law states, the only way really that wrestling has ever happened, I won't say survived. If it survived, it would almost be life support or cheating death.
Mm-hmm.
Is wrestling companies in quotation marks, would hold their shows on reservations, Indian reservations, because on that land they are exempt from the law. Mm-hmm. And so that was the only way that they can skirt the DOL is by wrestling on Indian reservations. And if you watch the movie, we are in the heart of the most artistic city in Seattle.
Yeah.
We are in Capitol Hill. Yep. And you're going to tell me that we got to take our fans to Tulalip when they don't even, like, they're all artists. You think they have money to get to Tulalip?
Yeah.
And who goes to Tulalip other than, like, retirees for the casino? Yep. Like, it just 3-2-1, or excuse me, SSP would not survive.
Nope.
Yep.
And so this bill was, and like the fact that the DOL was willing to work with us is the reason we were able to go, we're even allowed to go today, because they were like, okay, we'll let you, we want to work with you. Let's make this happen. In the meantime, here's what you can do if you want to perform. Mm-hmm. They actually gave us, because before we had no, like, we were like, we just want to do this. Can we work with you? And they were like, nope. And they just pushed their law on us, essentially. And we were like, but, like, is there anything we can do? And they were like, you can pay this fine, and you can pay this, and you can pay this, and you can pay this. And essentially, it came up to like $30,000.
Shit.
It was insane. And
yeah, they just created a bunch of bureaucracy. Like,
yeah, they pretty much
an ambulance on site and all this stuff.
They just imposed their law. They didn't care.
Yeah,
they just wanted to muscle us. And
so once Paul turned them in and they were above the radar, they couldn't hide anymore. Yep. You know, you can't just change your name or go to a different place. It's like they know who you are, and you could go to jail. So they could not wrestle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was just really crazy. Like they literally, you know, they were trying to stay below the radar, and you know, they tried everything. But then one day they just realized they couldn't really do it anymore. One day Josh heard about some hearing about wrestling happening the next morning from a Facebook post. Heard about it at 3 a.m. when he was getting off work, and drove down the next morning and just decided to testify as a citizen, to say, I'm going to walk in. And that's in the movie. You can see it happen. Yeah. I found out about it, and we didn't have a camera. Fortunately, we had a great guy in town who was really nice to go down there and at the drop of a hat and just see what happens. And they walked in and they got the pulse going back into the, you know, to keep their league alive. and keep hope alive. Then even from that moment, it was another
fucking
3
magic,
years.
man.
It was such a last minute thing. Like I remember after the hearing, Josh just messaged me. He's like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened." I'm like, "What's up?" He told me. I was just like, he's like, "You're gonna have to wait and see." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. I mean, and that whole scene is awesome because like, and it's funny, the movie kind of captures like Josh versus Ronald McFondle and how, you know, he can turn on the character, turn off like who's good at public speaking versus who's not. So you see this guy like literally speaking to Congress saying, please let me do this thing I want to do. But then you have Jake like, nah, he's much better at punching people. Like you have this like the difference in people that come together through this is it's just phenomenal.
We call Jake punk rock lawyer because he's
fucking Jake's awesome.
He really
he really, if you don't know anything about the movie, you'd just be like, this is the coolest lawyer I've ever seen. but their other lawyers pretty cool too. But no, just seeing Josh, you know, that's another small thing is in the movie is that he's really overcoming because he doesn't like speaking as Josh.
He's got to have this character, and now he's got to stand up as himself.
Yeah. Seeing him
without the clown paint, he has to stand in front of the man.
There's like real people there.
Yeah, it's like he has to stand against like the thing that is blocking him from doing the thing he loves. He has to stand and speak to them,
knowing that you're a guy whose gimmick is that you give the shot to the people.
Luckily, they didn't know that.
They did not know that. All right, so last question. What are you hoping people will walk away from this film besides having just seen Bill's ass?
Yeah.
We are sincerely hoping that this becomes a conversation piece. We really think it is. It's not just about wrestling. It's really a story about friendship, life, like things, fighting for things you care about. So we're just hoping that people see, you know, we think a lot of people hear about it and they think it's like some doc on underground wrestling. And those docs do exist, but this is more than that. This is more a heartwarming tale of a stripper getting spanked by a clown.
While
a banana fucks them over.
Yeah. And to add to that, it's, you know, we really do want people to
that tag line on the back of the DVD box.
No, but we really want people to watch this film and to really, you know, appreciate what sacrificing things are for certain people. It's like, you know, certain people will go to jail or they'll fight the government for what they believe in. And it's like, no matter what happens, it's their family or dealing with what they really love, and making that be your prime goal is really inspiring, I think, for a lot of people as well.
What about you, Bill? Besides your ass?
Besides my ass?
Which, by the way, so as soon as I finished this movie, I text him and I'm like, Bill, I see your ass every 3-2-1 show. Why does it feel so much more risque right now? And his response was, well, because you paid for it? I'm like, I love you. Don't ever change.
Yeah. So for me, I just hope that people who see this is, you know, there's going to be a time where they're going to struggle. There's going to be a time where things are going to feel like they're not going their way. And if you believe in something and you love something so much, fight for it. Yeah, that's really, you know, it's like I believe in SSP. I love SSP. It is my family, and the people within the locker room. They are my brothers. They are my sisters, and you know, I love them, and I will fight for them, and I will fight for SSP. And I hope people who watch this film, if you love something, fight for them.
You watch this film on iTunes?
On iTunes. Yeah. Buy it on iTunes.
Yes. So before
you don't say.
Google Play.
Right. I was like, do I sell the product at the end of this touching moment? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And please, we always want to hear what people think about the movie. So the more people that buy it and leave reviews, like we love that.
Yeah,
you know, we really like it if people leave 5-star reviews and say how amazing it is and how great my ass looks.
It does look pretty good.
You can also pull it up on your TV if you have like Amazon or whatever. Just click onto it, search for it. It's on there.
Yep.
So not just on your computer. So
awesome.
What is the website again? The website for I think it's bodyslamthemovie.com?
Bodyslamfilm.com.
Bodyslamfilm.com.
Yeah, or you can type bodyslamrevengeofthebanana.com if you want to type all that out. that goes to the same spot. But Bodyslam Film's the easiest one. You can see the trailer on there. The trailer is also on YouTube. It's
Trailers on.
It's on Twitter. It's on Facebook.
It's all over the place.
Yep.
If you search Bodyslam
It's on IndieWire.
somewhere, you'll probably find it.
I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty stoked when I googled the movie for the first time, and I just typed in Bodyslam, and it goes Bodyslam: Revenge of the Banana. I'm like, yes.
But I was not stoked because I typed in Bodyslam film, and then this movie from 1986 came up, which is awesome. And, this is a self-made film. So the more people that watch it and talk about it, that helps us. We don't have the giant budgets that, bigger documentaries or bigger films have. It really is a word-of-mouth thing. So if you did enjoy it, if you like good stories, tell your friends. Yeah. Even if they don't like wrestling, tell them, forget that. It's not about just wrestling.
It's not about wrestling. It's about family.
Yeah, about family.
It's about the people in this film.
Yeah, post it on your social feeds. Make sure to review on iTunes. I love the film. I absolutely, obviously, because of Bill and Josh, I wanted to support them, but seriously, just seeing this film, I saw it with my girlfriend, who is not a wrestling fan, although she's slowly but surely getting there. And she literally friended Bill that night and sent him a message, because she was so upset. She was so upset about the banana situation, and how, it was awesome. It was a great film.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. We're going to wrap it up. If you like the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at OnTheHeelsWP and on Facebook.com/OnTheHeelsWP. You can find our podcast through lots of different services like iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Thank you for listening to On the Heels Wrestling Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, 5 stars on iTunes. First of all, I want to thank our guests, Eddie Van Glam, Ronald McFondle, who had to leave, unfortunately, Ryan Harvie, JP, JP Horstmann. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This was excellent.
We cannot thank you guys enough. This was so good.
Yes. I want, again, buy it on iTunes, buy it on Amazon, Google Play. Please pick up this movie. This movie is amazing.
Support local artists, support wrestling, support people who love art.
Yes.
We can't say it enough. We're not trying to sell you a film. We're literally this is just an amazing film and you owe it to yourself to see it. So also owing yourself to see it, make sure you see Eddie Van Glam tonight at the Battle Palace at Battlemania as he teams up with King of Dong Style, Joey Ryan.
Balls.
Woo! Advanced seats are sold out, but there will still be standing room. Doors open at 8:30, so be sure to show up early. There is a bar in the lobby.
Yes.
Bring your copies of Bodyslam to the show. I'll sign them for you.
Yay! Eddie Van Glam will sign copies of Bodyslam. Do it. Info for the location at Evolve Fitness in Seattle, and information about the stream can be found at facebook.com/321battle. So, let's give everyone a quick update on sort of what's going on with our last 3 shows.
Okay, so last 3 shows for our podcast. We're going to have next Friday, April 28th, we recap Battlemania with one of the voices of 321 Battle, the Burian Fury. Murray Grande is going to be on the show.
Who's known for giving people weird boners.
Yes, I am ready.
Ready for a weird boner?
You know what? I'm ready. My body is prepared. And then Friday, May 5th, we interview Jim Perry, the man behind the biggest new independent wrestling show in Seattle, Defy Wrestling. We're going to pick his brain and also talk about Defy 3 Swerve City. And then finally, Friday, May 12th, we're doing it live.
Doing it live.
Join us for our Facebook Live podcast, which will start at 7 p.m. and end whenever we're too drunk to continue.
Or whenever Brittany's too drunk to continue.
I don't believe it.
Not possible.
Not possible. And after all of that, we'll ask ourselves the eternal question, will that banana ever get over with the audience, or is he simply not appealing? No, nobody liked it. Fuck
Fuck
you,
you, Ray.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck you, Ray.
And that's how we end this fucking podcast.
On the Heels Wrestling